The aroma of freshly baked sourdough usually centers me, but not tonight. My phone illuminates again, this time with a WhatsApp notification from Noah at 1:47 a.m. It's the third message in the last 20 minutes, each more desperate than the last. I stare at the screen, my fingers hovering over the notification as flour from today's baking dusts my countertop. Outside my apartment window, the city lights twinkle against the darkness, and I'm already dreading what tomorrow will bring. I'm Eliza, and my bakery, Sweet Victory, is everything I've worked for. 5 years ago, I left my stable job as a hospital nutritionist with nothing but my grandmother's recipe journal and a dream. Now, my first location is thriving, and plans for a second shop are starting to take shape, all built on my own terms, with my own hands. The phone lights up again with another notification. A photo appears, Noah at some exclusive club, champagne glass in hand, surrounded by fashionably dressed people. The message below reads, "Emergency. Need to talk now. Financial crisis." I sigh and open the conversation, noting the timestamp. Noah, it's almost 2 a.m. What kind of emergency can't wait until morning? I have a major catering consultation at 8. The typing indicator appears immediately, lost my biggest client. Fourth one this quarter. Can't make rent for my studio. They're threatening eviction. Since your bakery's killing it with that write-up in Food and Wine. Of course, it's always about Noah, I mutter, typing back, I can't keep bailing you out. Your graphic design work was supposed to be more stable after. His response cuts me off, you're my sister. Family helps family. Mom and Dad have done everything for us both. Don't be selfish. I laugh bitterly at my screen, the sound harsh in my quiet apartment. Everything? Like when Mom told me quitting my respectable hospital job was throwing away my nutrition degree? Or when Dad borrowed from my grad school fund for your first MacBook Pro and camera equipment? That was different. I needed that for my career start. But now I've got an actual business plan. I want to partner with you at Sweet Victory. My mug of herbal tea nearly slips from my hands. What? It's perfect. You're always posting about those 14-hour workdays. I can handle the social media marketing and branding while you do the baking stuff. A new notification pops up, a text from Meredith, my best friend since college, you still up? Saw you were online. Everything okay? I sent her a screenshot of Noah's messages. Her response is immediate, they're delusional. That bakery is your baby. You built it while working hospital shifts and catering on weekends. Meanwhile, they kept saying the nutrition degree was your only real accomplishment. I moved to the couch, suddenly feeling drained. Noah says if I don't help him, I'm betraying the family. Meredith, everything I have is in that bakery. The second location loan was just approved yesterday. Then they're the ones betraying you, Meredith replies with fierce loyalty. Real family supports your dreams instead of treating them like a safety net. My phone buzzes with a text from a different conversation. It's my father, Robert. Your mother and I expect you at our anniversary dinner tomorrow night at Bellini's. 7 p.m. No excuses. Noah has exciting news to share with everyone. Meredith, still active in our chat, responds to my forwarded screenshot, classic manipulation. Using their anniversary to spring this on you publicly? Low even for them. Before I can respond, my alarm goes off, 5:30 a.m. I've been up all night. A new message from Juno, my head baker, morning, boss. Prepping for the Anderson Catering Consult. The new cranberry orange brioche samples are ready for your approval. Also reminder, the health inspector scheduled their quarterly visit for this afternoon. I straighten up, a new resolve washing over me. I need to get to the bakery. The consultation with the wedding planner is huge, could secure our catering calendar through fall. Then I'll face my family tonight and finally stand my ground. That's the Eliza I know, Meredith responds. Need me to accidentally be at Bellini's tonight? I could spill something on Noah's inevitable designer outfit. No, this is my battle. I hesitate, then add, but maybe stay by your phone? Something tells me this anniversary dinner is going to be memorable for all the wrong reasons. As I step into the shower, a final message arrives from my mother. Diane, your brother needs this opportunity. Help him, or don't consider yourself part of this family anymore. I stare at those words, feeling an unexpected calm settle over me. They want war? Fine. After years of conditional support and double standards, they're about to discover that the dutiful daughter they've taken for granted has found her voice and her spine. Good morning, Eliza. The Anderson wedding planner greets me cheerfully as I enter my bakery, the morning sun revealing the gold lettering on our window, Sweet Victory Bakery, EST 2019. My victory, my rules, and no one, not even family, will take that from me. At the coffee shop, the catering consultation went perfectly, but my victory feels hollow as I sit across from Meredith at Grindhouse, our favorite coffee spot near her publishing office. The afternoon crowd buzzes around us while my phone continuously lights up with WhatsApp notifications from my mother, each message more manipulative than the last. Check out this masterpiece, I show Meredith the latest text. Your grandmother would be heartbroken to see how selfish you've become. They're really pulling out every emotional manipulation trick in the book. Meredith stirs her oat milk latte with unnecessary force, nearly sloshing it over the rim. Your grandmother would be ecstatic about how you've honored her recipes and built something authentic. Unlike certain people who supported Noah's 7th passion project last year. I'm about to respond when my phone pings with an Instagram notification. Wait, Noah just tagged Sweet Victory in a post. What is he? The coffee shop door swings open, and I freeze mid-sentence. Noah strolls in wearing a sleek blazer over a designer graphic tee that I recognize from his last essential business investment shopping spree. His perfectly styled hair and confident smile can't disguise the dark circles under his eyes or the slight fraying at his cuffs, telltale signs that his carefully curated image isn't matching reality. He spots us immediately and heads straight for our table, phone in hand, already recording for his Instagram stories. Hey followers! Just ran into my sister at my favorite coffee spot. Perfect timing for our big announcement. He pulls up a chair without asking and angles the camera to include me in the frame. Noah, what are you doing? I managed to keep my voice level despite my racing heart, acutely aware of his live stream audience. Just documenting the journey, sis. Transparency is key for brand building. His smile is all practiced charm, the same one that convinced our parents to fund his 3-month photography expedition to Europe that produced exactly 2 client bookings. Did Mom tell you about my killer concept for our partnership? You mean your plan to insert yourself into my business? My knuckles turn white around my mug as I force myself to remain composed. Insert myself? No, it's about synergy and family legacy. He swivels his phone to show me his Instagram profile. Look at the engagement we're already getting. I've started a whole content series about becoming the new creative director and brand strategist for Sweet Victory. Meredith chokes on her coffee. You did what? I grab his phone, my stomach dropping as I scroll through multiple posts where he's already announcing his new executive role at my bakery. The posts are slick, professional. Clearly he can produce quality work when it benefits him, and filled with comments from his followers congratulating him. Take these down. Now. My voice comes out in a harsh whisper that doesn't sound like me. Come on, Eliza, don't be so territorial. These posts have better engagement than anything on the bakery's account. I've already got partnerships lined up with 3 food influencers. He leans back, completely at ease while still recording. Plus, Mom and Dad agree it's time I established myself with something stable. Your nutrition degree helped you find your path. Now my design skills will take Sweet Victory to the next level. A stable path? I stand up so quickly my chair screeches against the floor, causing several customers to look our way. You want to waltz into my successful business that I built while working hospital shifts to save startup money? Where were you when I was developing recipes at 4 a.m. before my day job? When I was living on ramen to make rent while renovating a dilapidated storefront myself? That's not fair. I was finding my creative voice. He finally stops recording, his carefully crafted public persona slipping. Finding your creative voice? While I was begging banks for loans and being rejected 16 times? You were finding yourself with a new expensive hobby every 3 months while living rent-free in mom and dad's guest room. Your portfolio building that they funded over and over while telling me my business plan wasn't realistic. The coffee shop has gone eerily silent. Customer has stopped mid-conversation to watch our confrontation, their phones discreetly angling toward us. I notice at least 3 people recording, but I'm too furious to care. Eliza, Noah stands too, his Instagram-ready smile morphing into something cold and calculating. Don't turn this into a public spectacle. Mom and Dad are completely behind me on this. They'll make your personal and professional life absolute hell if you don't cooperate. His voice drops to a menacing whisper. You know how connected Dad still is in this city. Meredith steps between us, her publishing tote bag swinging dangerously close to Noah's designer blazer. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. Noah shrugs with practiced nonchalance, but his eyes dart nervously to the watching audience. Family businesses are meant to expand with family talent. Unless, of course, you want to be labeled as the daughter who chose profit over family loyalty. Imagine what that will do to Sweet Victory's community-focused brand. My phone vibrates against the table. It's a WhatsApp notification from my mother. Noah told us about your coffee meeting. I've already shared the exciting partnership news with the Hendersons and the Blakes at the country club. Everyone's thrilled about our children's successful collaboration. I feel my professional reputation unraveling in real time. You need to leave, I tell Noah, my voice trembling with barely controlled rage, and delete every single post and story about Sweet Victory before I contact my lawyer. Lawyer? He laughs, though the sound is hollow. Against your own brother? Your own parents? You wouldn't dare risk that kind of publicity nightmare. Try me. I hold his gaze steadily until I see something flicker in his eyes, the realization that I'm not bluffing. His carefully crafted confidence wavers. You know what? Fine. Be selfish. But when your precious artisanal bakery starts struggling against all the commercial competition, don't come crawling to us. He grabs his phone, his fingers already tapping frantically. I was offering you genuine marketing expertise, not that you'd recognize it. He storms out, narrowly avoiding knocking over a barista carrying a tray of drinks. I collapse back into my chair. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely unlock my phone. Are you okay? Meredith asks, her voice gentler than I've heard it in months. Not remotely. I pull up Garrett's contact, my lawyer who helped structure the business and the expansion loan. But I will be. You were right about legally protecting everything from day one. What about tonight? The anniversary dinner at Bellini's? The thought of facing my parents in one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city, surrounded by their friends and business associates, makes my stomach churn. I picture my mother's calculated tears, my father's quiet disappointment, Noah's manipulative tactics. I'm going to tell them exactly where things stand, that I care about them, but I won't let them hijack everything I've worked for. Want me to book a table at Bellini's too? I could sit at the bar, just in case things escalate? Would you really do that? The relief in my voice is palpable and slightly embarrassing. Are you kidding? That's what actual family does. Meredith squeezes my hand firmly. They support without conditions. They celebrate without trying to take control. My phone lights up with an Instagram notification from my mother's cousin, so thrilled about the family business expansion. Noah's design aesthetic will really modernize Sweet Victory's brand. I close my eyes, feeling a tension headache blooming behind my temples. He's already told the entire extended family. If I refuse now, I'll look like the villain in this story. No, Meredith corrects me firmly. You'll look like a successful entrepreneur protecting her business from someone with no experience and a history of failed ventures. And honestly, Eliza, if they can't see that distinction, they don't deserve any place in your life. I nod, pulling up Garrett's contact again. You're right. Time to show them exactly who they're dealing with. As I press the call button, I see Noah's Instagram stories are still active, now with dozens of comments congratulating him on his new executive position. My finger hovers over the screen momentarily. This call will irrevocably change my family dynamics. But sometimes, fundamental change is exactly what's needed. News is restructured your business meticulously as an LLC with clear documentation of sole ownership, Garrett says, adjusting his webcam as our video call connects. I can see the Manhattan skyline through his office window. The concerning part is your brother's social media presence could potentially be interpreted as having your implicit approval if we don't address it immediately. I sink deeper into the driver's seat of my parked car, my laptop balanced precariously on the steering wheel. It's 3:15 p.m., and I should be overseeing final prep for tomorrow's large wedding cake order, but this emergency took precedence. How do we shut this down? First step is a formal cease and desist regarding the false claims of affiliation and position. Then we'll draft explicit documentation reaffirming your sole decision-making authority. He pauses, his expression turning serious on my screen. Eliza, I need to ask, are you absolutely certain you want to take such a definitive stance? Family business disputes can become exceptionally messy, both emotionally and publicly. They've already made it messy. I hold my phone up to the webcam to show him the latest WhatsApp message from my mother. Noah is meeting with your coffee bean supplier tomorrow morning. He's found ways to cut costs by 30%. Don't embarrass him by contradicting anything he says to them. Garrett whistles low. That's extraordinarily presumptuous. On a related note, have you seen the local business newsletter? He shares his screen, showing me a digital article featuring an elegant woman standing in front of a construction site. The headline reads, "Award-winning NYC pastry chef opens artisan bakery in West Side District." Vanessa Mitchell is quoted promising to bring authentic European techniques to a neighborhood dominated by outdated bakery concepts. Fantastic, I mutter, pushing my hair back from my forehead in frustration. Because today wasn't complicated enough already. Actually, this competitive element strengthens our position. We can argue that any confusion about ownership and management creates immediate market disadvantage during a critical competition period. My phone interrupts with a call from the bakery. Garrett, I need to take this, it's Juno. Go ahead, I'll start drafting the cease and desist. I answer quickly, my stomach tightening at Juno's panicked tone. Eliza, you need to get back here immediately. Your brother is talking to Marco from Fieldstone Organic Flour, trying to change our standing order to some discount supplier. Put him on the phone. Now. My voice has gone dangerously quiet. There's a rustling sound, muffled protests, then Noah's smugly confident voice. Hey sis. Just making some executive efficiency adjustments. Did you realize we could save nearly 40% by switching to wholesale baking supplies flour? Same basic ingredients. Get out of my bakery. Each word drops like ice from my lips. Our family business, you mean? Dad's already calculating the tax benefits of get out. I'm shouting now, not caring that Garrett can hear everything through the still active video call. If you're still there when I arrive, I'm calling the police and having you removed for trespassing. The line goes dead abruptly. Garrett's concerned face fills my laptop screen. I'm sending a courier with preliminary paperwork right now. Where are you parked? 2 blocks from the bakery. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely close my laptop. I'll meet you there myself. This has escalated beyond phone calls. Garrett's voice is calm but serious. Don't engage further without legal representation present. We arrive at Sweet Victory 20 minutes later. Noah is gone, but the damage is evident. Juno meets us at the entrance, her usually calm demeanor completely shattered. "He changed our standing orders with 3 suppliers," she says, tugging nervously at her flour-dusted apron. "Told them he was the new brand director and operations manager. They believed him because of those Instagram posts and stories." Marco from Fieldstone called me after Noah left, completely confused about our relationship. I spend the next hour frantically calling suppliers to salvage our relationships. Garrett sits at a small table near the kitchen, occasionally conferring with his associate via video call while drafting documents. Through the front windows, I spot Vanessa Mitchell walking slowly past our storefront, phone in hand, clearly documenting our window displays and signage. She notices me watching and offers a saccharine wave. "I've prepared an emergency restraining order and injunction," Garrett says after I finish damage control with our chocolate supplier. "We can file first thing tomorrow morning." He hesitates, clearing his throat. "Eliza, there's something else. Your parents contacted my office while we were en route here. Robert is threatening a lawsuit claiming family investment entitlement in your business." I let out a laugh that sounds more like a strangled sob. "Family investment entitlement? Is that even legitimate?" "It's not a recognized legal concept, but they could cause substantial complications and negative publicity. We should prepare for that possibility. Are you ready for what this might escalate into?" My phone vibrates with a text from Meredith. "Just drove past your parents' house. Noah's loading what looks like presentation materials and boxes into his car. Something's definitely happening tonight." Another notification appears, this time from my mother. "We're expecting you at Bellini's at 7 p.m. for our anniversary celebration. Noah has prepared a comprehensive presentation about his vision for Sweet Victory's expansion. Don't embarrass us by being late." The final blow comes via email, a forwarded message from our coffee supplier, containing correspondence from Noah where he introduces himself as taking over branding and operations while my sister transitions to a more creative, less management-focused role at Sweet Victory. "Garrett," I say quietly, my voice steadier than I feel, "prepare whatever legal documentation we need. I want everything locked down immediately. And send that cease and desist letter tonight, don't wait until morning." He looks up from his laptop, his expression concerned. "This will likely create a permanent fracture in your family relationships. Are you certain that's what you want?" They created that fracture the moment they decided my business was their safety net. I stand straighter, adjusting my chef's coat. I'm done being the accommodating daughter who sacrifices her boundaries to maintain a false peace. Juno approaches with a fresh espresso and worried eyes. "Eliza, that new bakery owner is outside again. She's filming our store hours sign and making notes." "Of course she is." I check my watch, 5:45 p.m. The anniversary dinner at Bellini's is in just over an hour. My phone is filling with notifications, Instagram tags, WhatsApp messages from extended family members commenting on the exciting family business collaboration, all stemming from Noah's calculated social media campaign. "Garrett, how quickly can you prepare the documentation I'll need tonight?" He types rapidly, not looking up from his screen. "I can have preliminary papers ready in 45 minutes. My assistant is already sending the cease and desist electronically." "Perfect, because I'm attending that anniversary dinner," I smile, but it's a smile of determination rather than warmth, and I'm bringing evidence. Through the window, I watch Vanessa Mitchell walk away with a satisfied smirk, clearly thinking she's witnessing the beginning of our downfall. But she's wrong. They're all wrong. Sometimes the sweetest vindication comes from simply defending what's rightfully yours. The distinctive aroma of truffled pasta and expensive wine envelopes me as I enter Bellini's, the most exclusive Italian restaurant in the city. Any other occasion, I'd appreciate the culinary artistry, but tonight my stomach twists with anticipation. Garrett's documents feel like armor in my designer handbag, the one splurge I allowed myself after landing the catering contract with Anderson Enterprises. Eliza, finally. Diane rises from the elegantly set table, her practiced smile never reaching her eyes. Her anniversary outfit is impeccable, clearly new and expensive, designed to impress the other country club members scattered throughout the restaurant. Noah has everything prepared for his presentation. He's been working on it all afternoon. Robert barely looks up from his tablet, where he's reviewing stock portfolios. Your mother spent all day making arrangements for this celebration. Let's keep things civilized, shall we? His subtle emphasis on civilized makes his expectation clear: don't make a scene in public. I follow them to the private dining area where Noah stands proudly beside a sleek laptop connected to a small projector. He's wearing a tailored suit that still has the security tag partially hidden under the cuff, another expense he clearly can't afford. Perfect timing, sis. He grins broadly, clicking to his first slide, Sweet Victory Evolution, a family legacy brand. The logo I spent months designing has been modified with flourishes that completely undermine its intentional simplicity. Before you begin, I pull Garrett's folder from my bag. I have something to share as well. Let's order first, Diane interrupts hastily. The chef has prepared a special anniversary menu. We sit in tense silence as the server describes elaborate dishes that no one seems interested in. Noah keeps glancing eagerly at his presentation. Robert checks his watch repeatedly. Diane's hands tremble slightly as she arranges and rearranges her silverware. Finally, after the wine is poured, Noah seizes the conversational lull. I've been consulting with several high-end suppliers about cost optimization strategies. He begins, swiping to a chart showing projected savings. You mean the suppliers you contacted without any authorization? I set down my untouched wine glass with deliberate care. The ones you misled about your position in my company? Eliza. Diane gasps, her eyes darting to nearby tables. Noah is trying to help the family business. Help? I pull out my phone, opening the screenshots of Noah's Instagram posts and stories. By announcing himself as creative director of my bakery without my knowledge or consent? By attempting to change supplier relationships he has no legal right to modify? Robert leans forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Now listen carefully, young lady. Family businesses have always been about mutual support and I cut him off, my voice quiet but firm. What Noah did today constitutes fraud. The word lands like shattering glass in the elegant dining room. Diane's water glass tips over, soaking the expensive linen tablecloth. A nearby diner glances our way. Fraud? Noah laughs nervously, his confident facade cracking. Come on, Eliza, I was just showing initiative. Being entrepreneurial, like Dad always taught us. I slide Garrett's papers across the table. This is a formal cease and desist letter. Remove all social media posts, cease contact with my suppliers, stop representing yourself as affiliated with Sweet Victory in any capacity. Or what? Robert's face darkens as he half rises from his chair. You'll sue your own brother? Your own family? If that's what protecting my business requires, yes. My voice doesn't waver. Diane's tears start flowing, right on cue. The diamond anniversary necklace around her throat catches the light as she dabs at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. I can't believe you're doing this to us, she sobs quietly. After everything we've sacrificed for you children. What exactly did you sacrifice? The words escape before I can contain them. When I needed a modest loan to secure my first commercial oven, you refused. When I worked hospital night shifts while developing recipes during the day, you told your friends I was wasting my education. The first time you brought friends to the bakery was after Food and Wine featured us last spring. That's simply not true. Diane's voice rises slightly before she catches herself, aware of the public setting. We've always been behind you. Really? I pull up a documented text conversation on my phone and place it on the table. Here's a message from Dad dated 2 years ago. No daughter with a university degree should be throwing her life away on a hobby business. Find a proper position with healthcare benefits. Noah interjects, desperation edging into his voice. Ancient history doesn't matter. Look at my presentation. I've got connections with 3 influencer networks, concepts for franchise opportunities. Based on what experience? What qualifications? What financial investment? I remain seated, but my posture is steel. You've cycled through 5 passion careers in 3 years. Your portfolio website hasn't been updated in 14 months. You want to capitalize on my success without understanding the first thing about what built it. We're family. Robert hisses, mindful of the restaurant setting but unable to contain his anger. Family shares success. Family supports each other. Family doesn't hijack what someone else created through years of sacrifice, I respond, matching his intensity while maintaining my composure. There will be consequences. Robert's voice drops to something cold and calculated. If you persist with this, if you choose your bakery over your family obligations, you're the ones forcing that choice. I gather my bag. The cease and desist gives you 24 hours to remove all posts and retract all claims about involvement with Sweet Victory. If you don't comply, my lawyer will proceed with the injunction and potential damage claims. Eliza, please. Diane reaches for my wrist. We can work through this. We're simply trying to secure Noah's future. What about my future? I pull away gently but firmly. What about everything I've worked for while you dismissed it as a hobby? If you walk out of this anniversary dinner, Robert says, his voice dangerously quiet, don't consider yourself welcome at any family function again. I survey the table, Diane dabbing at theatrical tears, Robert's face flushed with anger, Noah staring dejected at his now useless presentation. For a fleeting moment, I see flashes of holidays past, family game nights, and Sunday brunches before success and money poisoned everything. But that family exists only in memory now. My lawyer will send the complete documentation tomorrow, I say, rising from my chair with dignity despite my churning emotions. At the door to the private dining room, I pause and turn back. You know what the saddest part is? If you had simply asked to collaborate with me rather than trying to commandeer my business, I probably would have welcomed your involvement. The door closes behind me with a soft click that somehow sounds more final than a slam would have. In the restaurant bar, Meredith waits as promised, anxiously checking her watch. How bad was it? I exhale deeply, looking through the elegant windows at the city lights. They've made their choice. Now they'll have to live with the consequences. As we walk to the parking lot, my phone erupts with notifications, WhatsApp messages, Instagram tags, texts from extended family members. I power it off completely without reading any of them. Some relationships need to end for healthier ones to flourish. Eliza, you need to see this immediately. Meredith bursts into my office the next morning, her face ashen as she holds up her phone. The screen displays a 1-star Yelp review of Sweet Victory posted just 3 hours ago. Severe food poisoning from their signature lavender honey cake, I read aloud, my stomach dropping. Unprofessional service. Owner clearly distracted by personal drama at the expense of food safety. My hands begin trembling. He wouldn't go this far. But when I frantically check our online presence, I discover dozens of similar reviews across multiple platforms, all posted within the last 4 hours. Each mentions either food safety concerns, unprofessional behavior, or family management issues. Juno rushes in, still wearing her baking apron dusted with cocoa. Eliza, 6 of our regular corporate breakfast clients just canceled their standing orders. They're saying something about health code violations being reported. My phone rings with Garrett's name on the display. Eliza, your brother ignored the cease and desist. Not only are his original posts still active, but he's added new content claiming you're experiencing a psychological breakdown that's affecting business operations. I sink into my chair, watching helplessly through the window as potential customers check their phones, read something alarming, and continue walking past our entrance. Several peer inside with expressions mixing curiosity and concern. There's more, Meredith says, scrolling frantically through various social media platforms. He's contacting food influencers, local business reporters, and neighborhood groups. He's launched a hashtag campaign, #SaveSweetVictoryBakery. The bell above our door chimes. Vanessa Mitchell glides in wearing an impeccably pressed chef's coat with her name embroidered in gold thread. I heard about your unfortunate situation, she says, her voice dripping with manufactured sympathy. I wanted to extend an offer to purchase your business before things deteriorate further. A clean exit might be your best option now. I rise slowly from my desk, finding unexpected strength in my fury. Get out of my bakery. Just trying to offer a professional courtesy. My offer has an expiration date, especially with these concerning health rumors circulating. She adjusts her designer eyeglasses with manicured fingers. Meredith steps between us. She said, "Get out. Now." After Vanessa leaves, I check our business email. Order cancellations continue arriving in real time. The phone rings again. It's the city health department requesting an immediate unscheduled inspection based on multiple public complaints. He's actively trying to destroy everything I've built, I whisper, the reality of the situation hitting me fully. My own brother is doing this. No, Meredith grips my shoulders firmly, turning me to face her. He's trying to break your spirit so you'll surrender. Don't give him that power. My phone displays a new WhatsApp message from my mother. See what happens when you choose a business over family loyalty? It's not too late to apologize and accept Noah's partnership offer before more damage occurs. The health inspector arrives within 40 minutes. While he methodically examines every corner of our kitchen, I notice several passers-by taking photos of his official car parked outside. Within minutes, my phone starts pinging with notifications as social media explodes with confirmed reports of health code violations. Your facility exceeds all cleanliness standards, the inspector finally declares, closing his tablet. However, due to the unusual volume of complaints, department protocol requires a follow-up inspection next week. As he leaves through the front entrance, I spot Noah across the street, half hidden behind a decorative planter, his phone raised to capture the inspector's departure, fresh fuel for his disinformation campaign. That's enough. I grab my keys from behind the counter, adrenaline coursing through me. Meredith, watch the bakery. I cross the street with determined strides, my chef's coat billowing behind me. Noah attempts to retreat, but I corner him against the wall of the neighboring boutique. Taking notes on food safety protocols, he smirks, though nervousness flickers in his eyes. Just doing some research for my new professional direction. You're systematically destroying everything I've worked years to build. No, you destroyed it when you chose your precious little bakery over family loyalty. He holds his phone up, screen displaying a dashboard of his coordinated review campaign. Face reality, Eliza. You need my expertise now more than ever. These reviews are just the beginning of your public relations nightmare. Is that what you think? I pull out my own phone, navigating to a saved audio file. Remember New Year's Eve when you had too much champagne and bragged about running paid reputation destruction campaigns for that startup founder? You explained your entire methodology. I recorded it. The color drains from his face. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Continue posting fake reviews, And I'll ensure every social media platform knows you're operating a professional defamation service. How many influencer connections would survive that revelation? How many of your followers? Mom and dad might forgive many things, but publicly damaging their social standing isn't one of them. They haven't forgiven me for actually achieving something on my own, I say quietly. Why should I care if they don't forgive me for defending it? Inside Sweet Victory, Garrett calls with updates. Eliza, we have grounds for substantial damages. These coordinated false reviews, the fraudulent health complaints, it's textbook defamation with provable malicious intent. File everything, I say, watching another group of potential customers check their phones, then continue past our entrance. And Garrett, I want this public. I'm done being silently manipulated through shame and family obligation. Meredith brings me a fresh espresso. How are you holding up? Honestly? Terribly. I survey the empty tables that would normally be filled with morning customers. But we'll recover. Call Juno and the entire team in. We're going to bake everything fresh, breads, pastries, cakes, all our signature items. Let's remind the neighborhood what Sweet Victory really stands for. What about the review situation? I open my laptop determinedly. We respond to each one professionally, attaching today's inspection report and documentation showing these customers couldn't possibly have purchased the items they claim. Transparency is our best defense. My phone displays a notification from an unknown number. It's a carefully staged photograph of my parents consoling a distraught-looking Noah, with the caption, "Hope you're satisfied with the family you've destroyed." I show Meredith, who rolls her eyes dramatically. And the Academy Award for Most Manipulative Family Photography goes to. They think they're punishing me with this emotional blackmail, I say, turning toward the kitchen where my team is arriving, responding to our emergency call. But they're just reinforcing exactly why I need to protect myself and everything I've built. The industrial mixer roars to life, and soon the intoxicating aroma of fresh sourdough and buttery pastry begins permeating the space. Through the front window, I see Vanessa Mitchell stroll past again, this time studying our nearly empty cafe with calculating interest. Let them all come with their worst. Let them try every underhanded tactic. Some creations are worth defending, even when you stand alone in that defense. A certified letter arrives 3 days later. The sleek embossed envelope bears the logo of Preston and Winters, the law firm where Robert's weekly golf partner is named partner. They're actually suing me, I tell Garrett over speakerphone, my voice unsteady as I read the formal complaint. They're claiming they provided substantial financial, operational, and developmental support during Sweet Victory's founding period. They're demanding 30% ownership retroactive to the business's establishment. That's patently absurd, Garrett responds, his typing audible through the speaker. Do they offer any legitimate evidence for these claims? According to this, my mother's old KitchenAid mixer constitutes essential startup equipment investment, and the fact that I temporarily lived at home while saving for commercial space apparently qualifies them as residential capital investors in business development. Meredith, stress-eating her second pane of chocolate of the morning, nearly chokes. They charged you $800 monthly rent for that tiny bedroom. I remember you working hospital overtime shifts just to cover it while saving for bakery equipment. My phone vibrates with a text from Noah. Final chance, sis. Drop the cease and desist and accept partnership, or prepare for real consequences. As if choreographed, the bell above the door chimes. Vanessa Mitchell sweeps in, trailing a woman with a microphone and a cameraman with Channel 5 business report emblazoned on his equipment. I felt compelled to speak up about these troubling developments, Vanessa announces loudly, positioning herself for the camera. As a member of the culinary community, I'm concerned about how family management disputes might compromise food safety standards. The public deserves transparency. You need to leave immediately, Meredith steps forward aggressively. Virginia, Garrett's urgent voice comes through the speaker. Do not engage with the press. Say nothing. I'm sending our media relations specialist to you now. After they exit, satisfied with their ambush footage, I check Twitter. My parents have published a lengthy statement about a daughter's heartbreaking betrayal and their decades of sacrifice and support. It's already been shared and commented on hundreds of times across multiple platforms. Eliza, look at this. Meredith turns her tablet toward me. Noah has created a Facebook event for a family business rights demonstration scheduled outside Sweet Victory tomorrow morning. He's invited our entire extended family network, positioning himself as the victim of corporate greed. The bell chimes again. It's Juno, her usually cheerful face etched with worry. The Anderson wedding order just canceled. $3,000 gone. They cited concerns about reliability due to publicized management issues. I grab my keys decisively. Meredith, watch the bakery. I need to see someone who might help. 25 minutes later, I'm sitting in my grandmother's old kitchen, now belonging to her lifelong friend. Aunt Judith, my godmother, pours herbal tea with slightly trembling hands. I've seen the social media storm, she says, adjusting her reading glasses. Diane is really outdoing herself this time. I slide the lawsuit documents across the well-worn kitchen table. They're claiming Grandma promised them partial ownership of any business venture I might start. Aunt Judith's gentle expression hardens instantly. That's an outright fabrication. Your grandmother left you her recipe journal because she recognized your talent and passion. She watched how your parents consistently favored Noah, how they dismissed your ambitions. She rises with surprising agility for her 70 years, disappearing into her home office. She returns carrying a weathered wooden box. I've been safeguarding these, waiting for the right moment. Inside are letters, dozens of them, that your grandmother wrote over the years. The final one, dated just 2 weeks before she passed, is addressed to your parents. Should you ever attempt to capitalize on Eliza's success, I read aloud, my voice catching, Judith has explicit instructions to reveal everything, including the $47,000 you borrowed against my retirement for Noah's failed photography equipment and European expedition, funds you claimed were lost in poor investments. My phone rings. Garrett again. Eliza, we need immediate action. They've filed for an emergency injunction claiming you're willfully damaging family business assets. No more defensive positioning, I stand, clutching the letters like precious artifacts. Aunt Judith, would you be willing to testify about these letters and Grandma's true intentions? My dear, she takes my hand firmly, I've been waiting years for the opportunity. When we return to Sweet Victory, a small but vocal group has already gathered outside. Noah stands front and center, holding a professionally printed sign reading, "Family First, Support Ethical Business Practices." I push through them, ignoring their comments, to reach the door where Meredith stands, protectively. Your cousin Alyssa called, she says as we hurry inside. Noah has been approaching relatives for investment opportunities, promising them percentages of Sweet Victory once he resolves the ownership dispute. Perfect, that's exactly what we needed. I pull out my phone, calling Garrett. Remember when you advised waiting to file the countersuit? I'm ready now. I have documented evidence of intentional business sabotage, witness testimony about falsified claims, and proof of attempted fraud against multiple family members. Eliza, his voice is serious, this will effectively sever all remaining family ties. Are you prepared for that reality? Through the window, I watch my parents join the demonstration, embracing Noah for a photo opportunity while reporters capture the moment. Vanessa Mitchell hovers at the edges, speaking animatedly to a journalist, clearly positioning herself to benefit from our potential downfall. They severed those ties themselves, I tell Garrett, my resolve hardening. I'm simply ensuring they can't rebuild them on their own manipulative terms. Juno approaches with a fresh Americano and fierce determination in her eyes. The entire team is here, Eliza. Every single person showed up when I called. We're all with you. My phone illuminates with another WhatsApp message from my mother. The entire extended family will attend tomorrow's demonstration. Your final opportunity to make this right. I look around at what has become my true family, my dedicated staff who arrived without hesitation despite the early hour, my loyal best friend who sacrificed her own workday, my godmother clutching a box containing decades of truth. Then I glance through the window at the growing crowd with their hastily made signs, relatives who never acknowledged my accomplishments until they became profitable. Garrett, I say with newfound clarity, file everything we have. And contact the business press. It's time everyone understood what genuine family support actually looks like. The industrial mixer roars to life behind me as my team begins preparing for tomorrow's confrontation. Let them protest with their signs. Let them threaten with their lawyers. They're about to discover that the dutiful daughter they always underestimated has transformed into a formidable businesswoman they should have respected. The morning of the demonstration breaks with perfect blue skies. I arrive at Sweet Victory at 4:45 a.m. to find local news vans already setting up across the street. Through the window, I watch Noah orchestrating people with protest signs, positioning them for maximum visual impact like the media-savvy designer he is. Everything's ready, Meredith says, helping me adjust the small podium we've set up just outside our entrance. Inside, the bakery showcase gleams with fresh pastries, breads, and cakes that my team has been producing since midnight. It's now or never. I check my phone one last time. Garrett's message confirms he's 3 minutes away with the full legal documentation. By 9:15 a.m., the demonstration has grown considerably. Diane and Robert stand prominently in the center, my mother dabbing at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief while my father stands protectively beside her with a stern expression. Vanessa Mitchell hovers at the periphery, chatting with a business reporter, barely concealing her anticipation of our downfall. Eliza. Noah calls out as I step outside to the podium. Come to surrender your stubbornness? Actually, I adjust the microphone with steady hands. I've come to share the complete truth. Cameras flash and reporters lean forward eagerly. I see Aunt Judith arrive with her wooden box of letters, nodding encouragingly. My name is Eliza. This is Sweet Victory Bakery. Every recipe, every dollar invested, every success and every challenge, they belong to me alone. Today, I'm going to demonstrate what genuine family support truly means. I signal to Garrett, who begins distributing comprehensive media packets to the assembled press. These documents contain irrefutable evidence of coordinated harassment, deliberate defamation, and attempted fraud. You'll find proof that the negative reviews were posted from my brother's registered devices. You'll see text messages threatening to destroy my business unless I surrendered ownership. She's fabricating everything. Noah shouts desperately, but I notice him frantically checking his phone notifications. You'll also discover personal letters from my grandmother documenting financial misconduct by my parents, correspondence they never intended to become public. Diane abruptly stops her theatrical crying. Robert's face drains of color. Eliza, you have no right, he begins, stepping forward threateningly. What's troubling you, Dad? Concerned about people discovering how you and Mom diverted funds from my grandmother, money intended for my education, to finance Noah's numerous failed creative ventures? Murmurs ripple through the gathered crowd. Several relatives exchange confused glances, lowering their signs slightly. But perhaps most revealing, I continue, gesturing toward the large digital display screen we've set up. Are these messages my brother sent to various family members promising them percentages of my bakery? Stakes he had absolutely no legal right to offer. Several elderly aunts gasp audibly. Uncle Martin crumples his family business rights sign and steps away from the main group. "You're tearing this family apart." Diane cries out, her carefully applied makeup still flawless despite her apparent distress. "No, you destroyed our family bonds when you attempted to appropriate what I built through years of sacrifice, when you chose opportunism over taking genuine pride in your daughter's hard-earned success." Noah charges toward the podium, but Meredith and Juno immediately form a human barrier. "You think you're so superior," he hisses, his carefully curated public persona crumbling. "You think you accomplished all this without any help?" Actually, Aunt Judith steps forward, her voice surprisingly strong. "She did exactly that. I have 5 years of meticulously kept financial records proving it, including receipts for the family discount rent she paid while supposedly receiving your support." The journalists are documenting everything frantically. Vanessa Mitchell's confident smirk has vanished completely. But the most compelling evidence, I gesture towards Sweet Victory's gleaming windows where my dedicated team continues working, is right there before you. The display cases overflow with artisan breads, delicate pastries, and signature cakes. The enticing aroma of chocolate, butter, and freshly baked sourdough wafts through the open door. While my biological family was organizing this demonstration, my chosen family, my team, was demonstrating through their craft exactly why Sweet Victory thrives. Anyone seeking the truth about our food quality, I swing the door wide open, is welcome to judge for themselves. The reporters immediately surge forward, followed by curious onlookers. Even several relatives break away from the demonstration, drawn by the irresistible sense of fresh baking. "You'll regret this humiliation," Robert snarls, grasping Diane's arm firmly. "Let's go, Noah. This circus is over." But Noah remains rooted in place, staring at his phone in disbelief. The accounts, they're all suspended. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everything. They've removed all my content for violating terms against coordinated harassment and fraudulent claims. "Actions have consequences," I tell him calmly. Perhaps the first genuine business lesson you've ever received. The crowd gradually disperses as people choose warm pastries over protest rhetoric. Through the window, I watch Vanessa Mitchell retreat hastily, her opportunistic takeover clearly thwarted. Eliza, a business reporter, approaches, microphone extended. "How do you respond to accusations that you've turned your back on family obligations?" I look thoughtfully at Meredith, who has stood by me through every crisis without hesitation, at Juno and our dedicated team who arrived before dawn to demonstrate their commitment, at Aunt Judith who preserved the truth until the moment it was most needed. I haven't abandoned family, I respond with quiet confidence. I've simply recognized who my true family actually is, the people who chose to support me rather than exploit me. After the news vans depart and the last demonstrators disperse, I discover a single abandoned protest sign leaning against our door. It reads "Family First" in Noah's distinctive designer lettering. I bring it inside and mount it on my office wall, not as a concession, but as a daily reminder. Sometimes defending your worth means standing your ground alone, but if you're fortunate, the right people will stand beside you when it matters most. My phone vibrates with a WhatsApp notification from my mother. "You will always be our daughter by birth, but you've chosen to remove yourself from our family." I gaze around my bakery at customers savoring fresh pastries in the afternoon light, at my dedicated team efficiently cleaning up after the morning's chaos, at Meredith and Aunt Judith sharing celebratory lattes by the window. "You're absolutely right," I whisper to the message before archiving it. I found my real family. The following morning, sunlight streams through Sweet Victory's newly cleaned windows, highlighting our freshly installed signage, family-owned and fiercely independent. The double meaning brings a smile to my face. "Your 7:30 consultation is here," Meredith announces, leaning into my office doorway. I look up from sorting through correspondence, mostly letters and cards from extended family members, some offering apologies, others expressing disapproval. Send her in. Vanessa Mitchell enters, looking noticeably less poised than during our previous encounters. Her designer chef's coat has been replaced by a simple blouse, and she sits down without waiting for an invitation. "I'm closing my bakery," she states matter-of-factly. "I assume you've seen the announcement." "Yes, I noticed the listing for the space yesterday. Your brother contacted me, you know. He suggested forming an alliance against you." She fidgets with her watch, a nervous habit I hadn't noticed before. "I assessed you as vulnerable, distracted by family conflict, emotionally compromised. An easy acquisition target." She hesitates, seeming to struggle with her next words. "I've learned to recognize when I've miscalculated. I came to ask for guidance." I lean back in my chair, studying her carefully. "Guidance?" "Mentorship," she clarifies. "Not about recipes, I respect that those are proprietary. But about sustainability. How to build something with substance beyond the Instagram aesthetic." Before I can respond, Juno bursts in excitedly. "Eliza, you need to see this immediately." She holds out her phone displaying a social media post from Noah, not another attack, but a lengthy, seemingly genuine apology. My sense of entitlement and opportunism poisoned what should have been a supportive sibling relationship, I read aloud. "I attempted to appropriate something my sister built through years of sacrifice because I wanted success without the accompanying effort. I'm deeply sorry, Eliza. You deserved better from your family, especially from me." Vanessa studies the post skeptically. "Another manipulation tactic?" "Apparently not," Meredith says from the doorway. His girlfriend, that independent filmmaker he was always posting about, ended their relationship over the entire situation. She owns a production company and was horrified by his behavior toward another female entrepreneur. I set the phone down and return my attention to Vanessa. "If you're serious about learning, you'll start by working. We need additional help with our expanded delivery service since securing the hospital catering contract." Her perfectly shaped eyebrows rise in surprise. "You want me handling deliveries? With my background? I want you to understand that lasting success is constructed from the foundation up. There are no shortcuts to building something authentic." The bell above the entrance chimes. Aunt Judith enters accompanied by Uncle Martin, who carries a weathered wooden box I immediately recognize. "Found these while helping your parents reorganize," he says awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable. "Your grandmother's complete collection of original recipe cards. Thought they rightfully belonged with you." "Martin." Aunt Judith gives him a gentle elbow nudge. "We agreed to approach this delicately. Sometimes directness is better than dancing around things." He places the box carefully on my desk. "Listen, Eliza, what Robert and Diane did was wrong. What many of us did by taking sides without understanding the facts was equally wrong. The extended family is divided now," Aunt Judith adds softly, "but more relatives are beginning to recognize the truth of the situation." My phone displays a notification from Robert. "Your mother would appreciate a call when you have time." Nothing more, but it represents a significant shift in tone. Another message appears from my mother. "Noah has moved into his own apartment. He's enrolled in business administration courses at the community college." A brief pause before a second message. "He says watching you stand your ground inspired him to establish himself properly." "Eliza," Juno calls from the kitchen. The food editor from Metropolitan Magazine has arrived for the feature interview. Should we showcase the new strawberry basil torte or stay with our signature classics? I look down at the box of handwritten recipe cards, then back at Vanessa, still waiting for confirmation about the delivery position. Both, I decide with newfound clarity. Let's demonstrate who we've been and who we're continuing to become. Meredith smiles approvingly. There's the Eliza I've always known was in there. The day progresses with its familiar rhythms. Dough rises in the proofing cabinets. Customers come and go with satisfied smiles. Deliveries depart with Vanessa learning the routes and building relationships with our commercial clients. Yet something fundamental has shifted, a new steadiness permeates everything. As closing time approaches, I discover a package on my desk that wasn't there earlier. Inside is a familiar KitchenAid mixer, the one my mother had claimed constituted her investment in Sweet Victory. The attached note simply reads, "This always belonged with you." Diane, I plug it in, listening to its familiar mechanical hum fill the kitchen. My team gathers around curiously as I retrieve one of my grandmother's original recipe cards from the wooden box. "Adding something new to tomorrow's menu?" Meredith inquires. "No," I smile, measuring ingredients with practiced precision, just honoring where I began while celebrating where I am now. Vanessa returns from her final delivery, flour dusting her designer jeans and a new perspective evident in her expression. "I understand now," she says quietly, "why you defended this place so fiercely." Through the front window, I glimpse Noah walking past on the opposite sidewalk. He doesn't enter, but offers a small wave, a gesture of acknowledgement rather than presumption. After a moment's hesitation, I return the gesture. The mixer continues its steady rhythm, the ovens radiate comforting warmth, and my chosen family moves around the kitchen in a synchronized dance of collaboration. This is precisely what I fought to protect, not merely a business, but the right to define my own version of family and success. Who wants to learn my grandmother's special brioche technique? I call out. Everyone gathers around, Meredith, Juno, our kitchen staff, even Vanessa, their faces attentive and eager. As I begin demonstrating the delicate process that started my culinary journey, I realize that some relationships must fracture for stronger ones to form. Like the finest sourdough, the most meaningful victories require time, patience, and precisely the right elements. And family? The most authentic version is often the one you create through conscious choice, ingredient by careful ingredient. I stood in my father's office at Winters Care Facilities headquarters, gripping the back of the leather chair until my knuckles turned white. The education fund I'd been promised to help with law school, money I'd spent years saving and that my father had agreed to match, gone just like that. My younger brother Victor lounged against the mahogany desk, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth as he scrolled through his phone, barely acknowledging the life-altering conversation happening around him. "Eliza, sweetheart, try to be reasonable," my mother Patricia said, her perfectly manicured hands clasped in front of her crisp blouse. "The family business needs that money right now. Your brother has such promising ideas for facility expansion. The elder care market is booming. I'm Eliza Winters, and at 29, I was learning exactly where I stood in my family's hierarchy, again. The familiar sting of disappointment burned in my chest, sharper this time because I'd foolishly allowed myself to hope things might be different. Promising ideas? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice as I gestured toward Victor. Like the luxury care wing that lost $750,000 in 8 months? Or the wellness center that sits empty because no one bothered to research what our residents actually wanted? Those were learning experiences, Victor cut in, straightening his designer tie as he finally looked up from his phone. Dad and Mom understand the value of taking calculated risks in business. That's how we grow. My father Douglas raised his hand, silencing us both with the practiced authority of a man who'd built an empire from scratch. The lines around his eyes had deepened since I'd last been in this room. "Eliza, we've discussed this already. Law school is an interesting whim, but it's not a practical career choice for someone with your background in elder care. The money will be better utilized supporting your brother's expansion projects." He turned to his computer, typing something as if the matter were already settled. "Your nursing expertise is valuable to us here. Law is unnecessary." Whim. The word felt like acid on my tongue, burning with the same familiar pain I'd felt whenever my career aspirations were dismissed. I've worked as a caregiver for 7 years while putting myself through college. I graduated with honors. I've already been accepted to the evening law program, which is very impressive, dear, Mother interrupted, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. But really, when was the last time you saw a woman from our circle changing careers at your age? And to become a lawyer, of all things? It's simply not the path for someone like you. I looked between them, Mother, with her concerned frown that masked her determination to maintain appearances. Father, focused on his laptop screen as if the family's care facilities were the only thing that mattered, and Victor, wearing that insufferable grin he'd perfected since childhood. The same scene had played out countless times throughout my life. Victor's mediocre performance reviews earned praise and promotions, while my innovative care protocols were met with polite disinterest. His failed facility expansions were learning experiences, while my concerns about patient care were dismissed as being too emotional. "Half of this money is mine," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady as I pointed to the financial documents on the desk. "I saved for 3 years, working double shifts at Memorial Gardens while handling a full patient load. You promised to match it for my education. And as the head of this family and CEO of this company, I have the right to determine how our resources are best used," Father replied without looking up. "The decision is final. The legal issues at the North Ridge facility need to be addressed immediately." My hands shook as I grabbed my tote bag from the floor. "You know what? Keep the money. I've gotten this far on my own, and I'll figure out the rest myself." "Don't be so dramatic, Eliza," Mother sighed, crossing the room to place a hand on my arm that I immediately shrugged off. "Why don't you help Victor implement the new care protocols at the East Side facility? You've always had such a good eye for patient needs. That's where your talents truly lie." I stopped at the door, my heart pounding. "You really don't get it, do you? This isn't about the money anymore. This is about you never believing in me, never taking my concerns about the facilities seriously." Victor laughed, the sound grating on my already frayed nerves. "Come on, sis, don't make this into one of your emotional crusades. We're running a business here, not a charity." "Emotional crusades?" I spun around, the fury I'd been suppressing finally breaking through. "Like when I warned you about understaffing at Northside and you ignored me until that patient fell and broke her hip? Or when I documented the medication errors at 3 facilities and you buried the report? Those emotional crusades could have prevented lawsuits if anyone had listened." "That's enough." Father's voice boomed through the office, his face reddening as he stood. "Eliza, you're upset and not thinking clearly. Go home, calm down, and we'll discuss this when you're being more rational." "There's nothing to discuss." I pulled open the heavy glass door. "I'm done trying to earn your approval. I'm done watching you hand everything to Victor while I fight to be heard about issues that affect real people's lives. I'm going to law school, and I'm going to succeed without your money and without your validation." "Eliza," Mother started, her voice rising with alarm, but I was already walking away. My shoes clicked against the polished floors of our family's flagship facility, past the reception area with its tasteful decor that masked the corners being cut in actual patient care. For what I knew would be the last time, I walked these halls not as an employee but as someone who had finally seen the truth. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall, not here, not where the staff who respected my work might see. My phone buzzed as I reached my car in the executive parking lot. A text from Meredith, my best friend since nursing school. "How'd the meeting go? Still on for coffee?" I typed back quickly, "They're giving my education fund to Victor to fix his latest disaster. Meeting in 30 at Blackbird Cafe." The response was immediate, those entitled jerks. I'll be there with emergency chocolate and loan paperwork options. Starting my car, I caught movement in the office window. Victor stood there, watching me with that same smug expression that said he'd won again. I held his gaze for a moment, letting him see the determination in my eyes, then pulled away from the facility that had been my workplace but never my passion. They thought denying me this money would force me to give up on law school, to fall in line with their narrow vision of my future. They thought I'd cave and accept the comfortable, confined life they'd planned for me as the family's reliable caregiver who never made waves. They were wrong. I didn't know it then, but that day marked the beginning of something bigger than my dream of becoming a lawyer specialized in elder care law. It was the day I stopped being the dutiful daughter who sought their approval and started becoming someone they would one day need to reckon with. Let them laugh. Let them dismiss my concerns. Let them think they'd won. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my resolve hardening with each mile between me and that suffocating building. They had no idea what I was capable of, how the very knowledge of elder care that they dismissed would become my greatest strength. But they would learn. Oh, they would learn. 6 months later, another overnight shift? Meredith raised her eyebrows as I changed from my scrubs into a fresh uniform in the cramped break room of Sunrise Elder Living, the small, independently owned facility where I'd been working since leaving my family's business. Eliza, you're going to collapse before classes even start. This is your third double shift this week, she said, passing me a coffee from the cardboard tray she'd brought in. Can't afford to collapse, I said, gratefully accepting the coffee and tying my hair back. Law school tuition isn't going to pay itself, and these student loan applications won't cover everything. 6 months had passed since I'd walked out of my family's care facility empire. 6 months of working longer shifts at a smaller facility with better patient care standards, living on caffeine and determination, and sleeping in my small but private apartment where every piece of furniture had been carefully budgeted for. Every extra dollar I earned went straight into my law school fund. At least let me bring you dinner tonight, Meredith insisted, looking me over with concern. You've lost weight, and those circles under your eyes have circles. When was the last time you ate something that didn't come from a vending machine? Before I could argue, Denise, the head nurse, appeared in the doorway. Eliza, Mrs. Hernandez in room 14 is asking for you specifically about her medication questions, and there's a well-dressed man at the front desk asking to speak with you. Says he's an attorney who handles medical malpractice cases. I froze, almost spilling my coffee. At Sunrise Elder Living, attorney? His name is Nathaniel Blackwood. He's been here twice before, talking with some of the families about care standards in the area. I knew exactly who she meant. Nathaniel Blackwood had founded one of the city's most respected medical malpractice law firms and had been investigating a series of complaints against several larger elder care chains, including, though he didn't know it yet, my family's business. He'd spoken with me briefly during his previous visits, impressed by my detailed knowledge of care protocols and regulations. Go, Meredith nudged me, taking the clipboard from my hands. I'll check on Mrs. Hernandez's medications. This could be your chance. I found Nathaniel in the small but bright visitors' lounge, reviewing documents spread across the table. He looked up as I approached, his expression brightening with recognition. Eliza, good to see you again. Hope I'm not interrupting your shift. He gestured to the chair across from him. Do you have a moment? Mr. Blackwood, I nodded, smoothing my uniform as I sat down, suddenly conscious of how tired I must look after back-to-back shifts. Nathaniel, please, he corrected with a warm smile, then reached into his briefcase. Actually, I have something for you. He slid a folder across the table. It's an opportunity one think might interest you. Inside was an offer letter for a paid paralegal position at his firm, specifically focused on elder care cases. My hands trembled slightly as I read through the details, a flutter of excitement rising in my chest. "It's part-time," he explained, watching my reaction carefully. "Flexible hours to accommodate your law school schedule, better compensation than elder care work, plus it'll provide valuable experience that will strengthen your law school performance and future career options." I don't understand," I said, looking up from the letter. "Why me? You barely know me." "Because in our conversations about care standards, you showed more insight into both the medical and potential legal issues than most practiced attorneys I know," he replied, leaning forward. "You remind me of myself 20 years ago, determined, knowledgeable, and fighting uphill." Plus, he added with a slight hesitation, "Meredith mentioned something about your family situation." "Meredith did what?" I glanced toward the nurse's station where my friend was suddenly very absorbed in medication charts. "Don't be upset with her," Nathaniel said, catching my expression. She was genuinely concerned. "Look, Eliza, I've been impressed watching you handle complex care situations while preparing for a career change into law. That combination of expertise and dedication is exactly what my firm needs for these elder abuse cases we're investigating." "I appreciate the offer," I said carefully, "but I don't want special treatment or charity. I need to make it on my own merits." He laughed, the sound genuine and warm. "Trust me, with the caseload we're facing, you'll earn every penny. This isn't charity, Eliza, it's recognition of a unique skill set. We need someone who understands both elder care and legal concepts." Before I could respond, my phone vibrated in my pocket. Victor Winters flashed on the screen. I declined the call with a quick swipe. "Family?" Nathaniel asked perceptively. "They reach out occasionally," I said, slipping the phone back into my pocket. "Usually when they need something or want to remind me how disappointed they are in my career choices. I stopped answering about 4 months ago." Nathaniel nodded thoughtfully. "You know, I've found that becoming successful on your own terms is the most effective response to family doubts." He stood, gathering his remaining papers. "Think about the offer. The position would start next month, after you've had time to arrange your schedule with the facility here." After he left, Meredith practically ambushed me at the medication cart. "Well? What did he say? Did you take it?" Her eyes were bright with excitement. "I haven't decided yet," I admitted, showing her the offer letter. "But it's more money for fewer hours than what I'm making here, and the experience would be invaluable." "Then what's holding you back?" She searched my face and seemed to find the answer. "Oh, come on, Eliza. Don't tell me you're worried you're not qualified enough. What if I'm not ready? What if I make a fool of myself? I don't have any legal experience." "Stop right there." Meredith gripped my shoulders firmly. "You are the most intelligent, hardworking person I know. You've been studying elder care law on your own for years. You handled that difficult family situation last month better than the facility's legal counsel did. You've survived 6 months without taking a dime from your family's money. You are absolutely ready for this." My phone vibrated again, this time with a text from Victor. "Dad's blood pressure is up again because you missed the family dinner. Stop being so stubborn and think about someone besides yourself for once." Meredith read the message over my shoulder and made a disgusted sound. "Stubborn? That's rich coming from the guy who ignored your warnings about staffing levels until they got sued." I deleted the message without responding, feeling the familiar mix of anger and guilt my family always managed to trigger. "You know what?" I said, squaring my shoulders. "You're right. I'm taking the position." "Yes." Meredith hugged me tightly, nearly knocking over the medication cart. This calls for celebration. Pizza and wine at my place after your shift. Can't, I groaned, remembering my schedule. I have a study group for my LSAT prep course at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Then no more excuses after that, she insisted, pointing to the offer letter still in my hand. This is your turning point, Eliza. Everything changes from here. Looking at the letter again, I felt something warm unfurl in my chest that I hadn't experienced in months, genuine hope. Maybe Meredith was right. Maybe this was the beginning of the path I'd been searching for. That night, as I helped Mrs. Hernandez settle in for the evening, I imagined Victor's face when he eventually learned I'd made it through law school without our family's money or connections. I pictured my parents' expressions when they realized their impractical, emotional daughter had succeeded despite their lack of faith in her abilities. My phone vibrated one final time as I was clocking out. Mother, darling, please be sensible. Your father's health isn't good. Come home and we can discuss alternatives to this law school fixation. The East Side facility needs your nursing expertise. I blocked the number without hesitation, feeling a strange sense of lightness as I did. There would be no more discussions, no more alternatives, no more seeking their approval for my life choices. I had found my own path now, and for the first time in years, I was certain it was the right one. Tomorrow, I would accept Nathaniel's offer. Tomorrow, I would take another step toward proving that my concerns about elder care were valid and important. Tomorrow, the real work toward becoming an advocate for the vulnerable would begin. 4 years later, the day I passed the bar exam, Nathaniel called me into his office. 4 years of night law school, countless sleep-deprived days, and an unhealthy relationship with caffeine had led to this moment. Close the door, Eliza, he gestured to the chair across from his desk, his expression unreadable. I've just received some news. My heart pounded against my ribs. I'd been working as a paralegal at his firm throughout law school, gradually taking on more responsibility with each passing year, hoping to secure an associate position after passing the bar. The partners met this morning, he said, shuffling through some papers on his immaculate desk. We've made our decision about the new associate position. He looked up, his expression serious, then a smile broke across his face. Welcome to the firm as our newest attorney, counselor. I collapsed into the chair, relief and pride washing over me in equal measure. Top of your class in elder law, excellent recommendations from the clinic supervisors, and 4 years of practical experience with us already. It wasn't even a difficult decision. He slid a contract across the desk. Your starting salary and benefits package are all detailed here. Take it home, review it, and let me know if you have any questions. My hands trembled slightly as I looked at the numbers. It was more money than I'd ever expected to make. Thank you, Nathaniel. For everything. You earned this, Eliza, he said firmly. Every bit of it. No one handed you anything. As if on cue, my phone lit up with a news alert. Winters Care Facilities faces multiple lawsuits. CEO under investigation. Nathaniel noticed my expression change. Everything okay? I turned my phone toward him, showing the headline. My family's company, it's finally happening. He leaned forward, quickly scanning the article. Allegations of patient neglect, medication errors, fraudulent billing practices. This is serious, Eliza. The state health department is involved now. In my office, I couldn't help but feel a twist of satisfaction, sharp and sweet. Guess those promising ideas for facility expansion finally caught up with him. Your family might need a good attorney, Nathaniel observed, studying my face. Someone who understands both healthcare regulations and legal implications. They're not my problem anymore. I stood up, carefully tucking the contract into my leather portfolio, the one I'd bought myself after my first big case win. I haven't spoken to them in 4 years. Not since they made it clear my concerns about patient care weren't worth their time. Back at my desk, I was sorting through case files when Meredith's name flashed on my phone. She'd joined the state's health department legal team last year, but we still met for our sacred weekly coffee dates. "Did you see the breaking news?" she asked without preamble. "About Winter's care facilities? It's all over the healthcare blogs." "Yeah. My brother's really done it this time," I replied, leaning back in my chair. "The state health department investigation is just the beginning. There's talk of a class action suit from families." I know. "Not your battle to fight, not your responsibility," Meredith said. "But Eliza, this is pure karmic justice. They took your education money to fund Victor's expansion projects, ignored all your warnings about understaffing and care standards, and now the whole house of cards is collapsing." Before I could respond, my assistant Amber knocked on my doorframe. "Ms. Winters? There's a Mr. Victor Winters in reception insisting on seeing you. Claims he's your brother. He doesn't have an appointment. Should I send him away?" My blood ran cold as I glanced through the glass walls of my office. There he was, standing awkwardly in our reception area, looking nothing like the confidently smug brother I remembered. His usually immaculate suit was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, and the constant checking of his phone betrayed his anxiety. "Eliza? Hello? Are you still there?" Meredith's voice came through the phone. "What are you going to do?" "I'll call you back," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I hung up and nodded to Amber. "Send him in, please. And hold my calls for the next 30 minutes. Victor entered my office like a shadow of his former self, his usual swagger replaced by a nervous hesitancy I'd never seen in him before. "Hey, sis," he said, his voice lacking its usual confidence. "What do you want, Victor?" I remained standing, unwilling to give him the comfort of a casual family chat. "Can't a brother visit his successful sister?" He attempted his trademark charming smile, but it collapsed into something more like a grimace. "Nice office. Partner track, I hear?" "Cut the small talk. I saw the news." I gestured to my computer screen where the article about Winter's care facilities was still open. "So what brings the golden child of Winter's care to my door after 4 years of silence?" He collapsed into one of my client chairs, suddenly looking 10 years older. "It's bad, Eliza. Really bad. Dad's having serious heart problems from the stress, his doctor's talking about bypass surgery. Mom's barely holding it together, and the state investigators are interviewing all our staff. 3 facilities might lose their licenses. And this concerns me how?" I asked, my voice cooled though my heart constricted at the news about my father's health. "We need your help. Your expertise in both healthcare and law. The family attorneys are corporate specialists with no background in elder care or medical malpractice. They're completely out of their depth with these allegations." I couldn't help but laugh, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "You must be truly desperate if you're coming to me, the emotional, impractical daughter who was too concerned about actual patient care to be trusted with the family business. I know we treated you terribly," his voice cracked as he looked down at his hands. "I know we dismissed your concerns and didn't support your career change. But please, Eliza, the facilities will close without expert help. Facilities where hundreds of seniors live, where over 1,000 people work. The same facilities you ran into the ground by ignoring every warning I gave you about staffing levels and care protocols. The warnings that cost me my education fund because I was being difficult." My voice was sharp with 4 years of accumulated bitterness. He flinched visibly. I deserve that. All of it. But this isn't just about me or even about Dad's legacy anymore. It's about the residents who have nowhere else to go if we close, the staff who depend on these jobs, the families who trust us with their loved ones. I turned away, walking to the window that overlooked the city. Below, people hurried along the sidewalks, each with their own stories, their own struggles. It struck me how far I'd come from that frustrated caregiver in my father's office, silenced and dismissed whenever I raised concerns about patient welfare. Please, Eliza, Victor's voice was barely above a whisper now. Name your price. Anything. We need you. I turned back to face him, years of hurt and anger crystallizing into something harder, more purposeful. My price? Oh, Victor, you have no idea what this is going to cost you. He looked up, hope and fear warring in his eyes. Does that mean you'll help us? I'll think about it, I said finally, walking to my door and holding it open. Tell Mom and Dad I'll be in touch with my terms. And Victor? Be prepared for them to be non-negotiable. After he left, I immediately called Nathaniel's extension. Remember what you said about them potentially needing a good lawyer with healthcare knowledge? Well, you were right. And I think it's time for a long overdue family intervention. The family home, the family estate looked exactly the same, from the manicured lawns to the pretentious lion statues flanking the entrance. Only this time, I wasn't arriving as the disappointing daughter who couldn't understand business realities. I was here as their last hope, a qualified attorney with specialized knowledge in exactly the crisis they were facing. Meredith had helped me prepare for this moment with mock negotiations lasting late into the night. Remember, she'd insisted, you hold all the cards now. Don't let them manipulate you with family guilt or emotional appeals. I straightened my tailored suit, bought with my first bonus from the law firm, and rang the doorbell. Our longtime housekeeper, Rosa, answered, her familiar face lighting up with genuine pleasure. Miss Eliza. Her warm hands clasped mine. It's so wonderful to see you again. You too, Rosa, I said, returning her brief hug. Are they waiting in the study? Yes, all of them. Your father. Her voice dropped. He's not doing well, Miss Eliza. This situation has been very hard on his heart. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral as I walked the familiar path through the house I'd grown up in. 4 years ago, I'd left this place with tears of frustration burning in my eyes. Today, I entered the study with my shoulders back and head high. They were arranged exactly as I'd expected, father, looking frilier and older, behind his desk like a king with a crumbling kingdom, mother, perched anxiously on the leather sofa, every hair in place despite the crisis, and Victor, pacing by the window, unable to contain his nervous energy. Eliza. Mother rose immediately, arms outstretched, her voice trembling with relief. Darling, you look so, let's skip the reunion pleasantries, I interrupted, setting my briefcase on the edge of the desk. I've reviewed the State Health Department allegations and your facility's compliance records. You're in deeper trouble than the news is reporting. Father's face tightened, the lines around his mouth deepening. We're aware of the seriousness of the situation. Are you really? I pulled out a stack of documents, spreading them methodically across his desk. Because according to these records, Victor didn't just mismanage staffing and care protocols. There's evidence of deliberate falsification of patient records and fraudulent Medicare billing. We're talking potential criminal charges, not just civil penalties and license revocation. Criminal charges. Mother gasped, one manicured hand flying to her throat. But surely you can fix this, Eliza. You're a lawyer now, specializing in exactly these issues. I'm not just any lawyer, Mother, I said, letting my gaze move between them. I'm one of the top associates at Blackwood Law Group, specializing in elder law and medical malpractice with a focus on facility compliance. I paused, letting that sink in. The same firm that's currently representing 3 families in cases against large elder care chains for similar violations. Victor stopped his pacing, turning to face me fully. So, will you help us? At my office, that depends. I took a seat in the chair across from Father, placing my portfolio precisely on the desk between us. What exactly are you asking for? We need you to defend Victor, Father said, his voice weakened by stress and illness, a shadow of the commanding tone I remembered. Handle the health department investigation, address the patient complaints, restructure the facility's operations, preserve what's left of our reputation. Save your empire, I finished for him, unable to keep a hint of irony from my voice. That's quite a tall order, considering you didn't even think I was capable of completing law school while working full-time. Mother flinched visibly, her carefully maintained composure cracking. Eliza, please, that was a long time ago. We were mistaken. For years, I met her gaze steadily, refusing to let her look away. For years since you diverted my education fund to Victor's facility expansion projects. How much of that money actually benefited patient care, by the way? Victor looked down at his hands, unable to meet my eyes. None of it, right? I nodded, unsurprised. You used it to build that luxury wing that stands half empty, to install amenities that look good in brochures but don't actually improve care outcomes. I opened my laptop, typing my password with deliberate precision. Well, here's my idea. I'll take your case, but I have conditions. Father leaned forward, his hands trembling slightly. Name them. First, I want complete control of both the legal strategy and the care protocol revisions. No interference from your corporate attorneys or administrators who don't understand elder care regulations. Second, my firm's standard fees are non-negotiable. This won't be pro bono work just because we're family. And third. I paused, letting the moment stretch, watching their faces. I want controlling interest in the facility's operations and a position as Chief Compliance Officer with authority over all care standards. Absolutely not. Father's fist came down on the desk, then he immediately winced, clutching at his chest. Douglas. Mother rushed to his side, her voice tight with fear. Your heart. Take your medication. It's not a request, it's a requirement, I continued calmly as Mother fumbled with a pill bottle from Father's pocket. The facilities need new leadership, someone who understands both healthcare regulations and legal compliance, someone who can rebuild trust with patients, families, and regulators. You can't be serious, Eliza. Victor finally found his voice, half rising from his chair. You want to take control of the business? Based on what business experience? Think of it as poetic justice, brother dear, I replied with a cool smile. You got my education fund to expand facilities you didn't properly staff. I get to fix the mess you created. I stood up, gathering my materials with unhurried movements. Those are my terms. Accept them, or find another attorney who specializes in both healthcare regulations and elder law who's willing to risk their professional reputation defending your case. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Victor's accusation came out half angry, half pleading. Watching us struggle after everything? No more than you enjoyed dismissing my concerns while patients received substandard care, I replied evenly. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, I have other cases requiring my attention. Wait. Father called out as I reached the door, his breathing labored but his eyes sharp. What makes you think you can save these facilities when you've never managed healthcare operations at this scale? I turned back, meeting his gaze directly. Because unlike Victor, I actually understand what quality care requires. I've built my career from the ground up, starting as a direct caregiver, while he was ignoring the warning signs I pointed out years ago. So yes, I can save the facilities, but only if I have the authority to implement the necessary changes. We need time to discuss this as a family, Mother said quietly, her hand still resting on Father's shoulder. 24 hours, I repeated firmly. Oh, and Victor? I'd recommend against destroying any more documentation. The state investigators are particularly interested in those medication error reports that mysteriously disappeared from 3 facilities. His face blanched. How did you know about? I'm very good at my job, I cut him off. Something you might want to consider when making your decision. I left them there in the study that had once been the center of family power, now heavy with the weight of their desperation. As I walked down the long hallway toward the front door, I heard Mother's hurried footsteps behind me. Eliza, please, she called, her voice strained. Can't we discuss this more? As a family? I kept walking, my footsteps steady and determined. They'd had 4 years to listen to my concerns about patient care. Now it was my turn to set the terms, and they would have to accept them or watch their legacy crumble completely. The next day, 23 hours and 45 minutes later, my office phone rang. I checked the caller ID, then activated the speakerphone. We accept your terms, Father said without preamble, his voice strained but resolute. But we have conditions of our own. This isn't a negotiation, I replied, a flicker of disappointment, but not surprise, passing through me. Hear me out, he requested, pausing as I heard him taking a shaky breath. We want you to mentor Victor in proper facility management and regulatory compliance. Help him understand where he went wrong, teach him to do better. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. So after everything, you still don't trust me to run things without him involved? That's not what I'm meeting in my office in 1 hour, I cut him off, my voice crisp and professional. Bring the operational authority agreement and Victor's resignation letter from his current position. Nathaniel knocked lightly on my doorframe as I hung up. His expression was a mixture of concern and admiration. They took the terms, just as you anticipated? I nodded, allowing myself a small smile. Ready to help me play hardball with my family? I've been waiting 4 years to see you take your rightful place, he replied, checking his watch. Let's review the strategy before they arrive. An hour later, my family filed into the conference room at Blackwood Law Group. Victor looked like he hadn't slept in days, his normally perfect appearance disheveled. Mother's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide her red-rimmed eyes, and Father looked old and defeated in a way I'd never seen before. Before we start, I said, taking my place at the head of the conference table, I want to make something very clear. This is not a family meeting. This is a business transaction between Blackwood Law Group and Winters Care Facilities. Eliza, please, Mother began, reaching toward me. Mrs. Winters, Nathaniel interrupted smoothly from beside me. As your daughter's senior colleague, I strongly advise you to approach this as the professional arrangement it is. I slid the contracts across the polished table surface. Everything is laid out here. I assume operational control and compliance oversight of all facilities immediately. Victor steps down as Chief Operating Officer but remains on the board in a non-executive advisory capacity. I will direct all aspects of the regulatory response and facility reforms. And what about the state investigation and lawsuits? Victor asked, flipping through the documents. I've already spoken with some of the families. I pulled out another folder. We've drafted a comprehensive settlement framework, but it won't be inexpensive. The facilities will need to establish a patient compensation fund, and you'll need to cooperate fully with all investigations, including testifying about past practices if required. Father scanned the papers, his brow furrowing. These terms, they're extremely favorable to the patients and families. Because I'm not trying to help Victor escape accountability, I said flatly. I'm trying to save the facilities and improve care for the residents who depend on them. There's a significant difference. You really hate us that much? Victor's voice cracked with emotion, his eyes meeting mine. This isn't about hate. I met his eyes directly, my voice steady and clear. This is about competence. You nearly destroyed facilities that have served seniors for decades because you thought regulatory standards didn't apply to you, because mom and dad never taught you about accountability for your actions. That's enough. Father struggled to his feet, swaying slightly as he braced himself against the table. You've made your point, Eliza. Have I? I remained standing, matching his stance. Because 4 years ago, you told me law school was an unrealistic whim. You gave my education fund to Victor because you thought his business ideas deserved support more than my career change. How has that decision worked out for everyone? Mother started crying softly, carefully dabbing at her eyes to preserve her makeup. Nathaniel cleared his throat, his professional demeanor providing a counterpoint to the family drama unfolding. Perhaps we should return our focus to the agreements, he suggested smoothly. The settlement framework has a time constraint. The state's offer expires at close of business today, I reminded them, sliding the documents forward. Victor grabbed the pen first, signing his resignation letter with trembling hands. Father followed, his signature noticeably weaker than I remembered from all the birthday cards and permission slips of my youth. Mother hesitated, pen poised over the paper. Darling, are you absolutely certain this is what you want? She asked quietly. To take control from your brother like this? I'm not taking anything, I replied evenly. I'm earning it, something this family never taught me how to do. She signed, her face a mask of resignation. Congratulations, Nathaniel said, gathering the papers efficiently. You're now the Chief Compliance Officer with operational control of Winter's care facilities. Father slumped in his chair, suddenly looking every day of his 65 years. What happens now? Now, I said, opening my laptop, I start fixing Victor's mistakes. Beginning with a full audit of all patient care protocols, a restructuring of the administrative leadership, and implementation of a comprehensive compliance program that actually meets regulatory standards. And me? Victor asked quietly, looking genuinely lost for perhaps the first time in his life. You'll work under my direct supervision, I explained. You'll learn how to actually manage care facilities properly, not just expand them without adequate staffing or protocols. I looked between our parents. And you too will step back completely. No interference, no complaints, no undermining my authority with the staff who still see you as the founders. You're really going to push us out of our own company? Father's voice was barely above a whisper. No, I replied firmly. I'm going to save these facilities and protect the residents who depend on them, whether you like my methods or not. I stood up, gathering my materials. Amber will show you out. I have a considerable amount of work to begin. As they filed toward the door, Mother turned back. Will you at least come to Sunday dinner? We've missed you, Eliza. I have plans, I replied without looking up from my laptop. With people who believed in my abilities when you didn't. The door closed behind them, and Nathaniel squeezed my shoulder briefly. Are you okay? Better than okay. I finally looked up, somewhat surprised to find my eyes were dry. I thought this would feel more like revenge, but it just feels like justice. Sometimes they're the same thing, he said with a small smile. Ready to show them what you're truly capable of? I nodded, already pulling up the facility's care records. They wanted a caregiver instead of a lawyer? Well, now they had both, and I was just getting started. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I watched my family walk toward the elevators, shoulders slumped, finally carrying the weight of their own choices. For the first time in my life, I felt truly in control, not because I'd taken something from them, but because I'd proven them wrong in the most meaningful way possible. 1 month later, the compliance committee meeting starts in 10 minutes, Amber announced, appearing in my office doorway. Your brother's already in the conference room, and he looks nervous. 1 month into my leadership, and the changes were already visible. Patient satisfaction scores had improved, staff turnover had decreased, and the state regulator negotiations were proceeding productively. But not everyone was adapting easily to the new standards. I gathered my files and headed to the conference room. Victor sat hunched over his tablet, dark circles under his eyes betraying his lack of sleep. He'd spent the past month working directly with care staff, learning what quality patient care actually required. Morning, Victor. I set my coffee down. Ready for your presentation on the medication error reduction program? He looked up, startled. You're really going to make me present the failure statistics myself? Own your mistakes in front of the committee? Yes, absolutely. The committee members filed in, a mixture of new faces I'd appointed with healthcare backgrounds and a few longtime administrators who demonstrated genuine commitment to improvement. Father had insisted on attending despite his doctor's recommendations, settling into a chair at the far end. Mother had finally stopped trying to attend operational meetings. Let's begin, I said, taking my place at the head of the table. Victor, please walk us through the baseline audit findings. He stood shakily, clicking through his slides. Each one detailed another shortcoming, another protocol violation, another example of his negligent management. By the third slide showing medication error rates, he was visibly uncomfortable. As you can see. His voice faltered slightly. The previous administration made several critical oversights in medication safety protocols. The previous administration? I interrupted. You mean you, Victor? Own it directly. He swallowed hard. Yes, I made these decisions. I prioritized expansion over proper staffing levels, which resulted in medication errors that endangered residents. Father shifted uncomfortably in his seat. One of the new committee members, a geriatric nurse practitioner I'd recruited, raised her hand. And what specific steps are being taken to prevent these medication errors from recurring? Ms. Winters has implemented new oversight measures, Victor replied, regaining some composure. All facilities now have mandatory medication reconciliation protocols, and we've established proper nurse-to-patient ratios on all shifts. Speaking of regulatory compliance, I stood up, transitioning smoothly. I have an announcement. The State Health Department has agreed to reduce the penalties in exchange for our full implementation of the Corrective Action Plan and ongoing monitoring. And Victor's role in all this? Father spoke up for the first time that morning. Will there be personal liability? He'll need to participate in continuing education and oversight training. I met Victor's eyes directly. But no personal legal action, assuming he continues to cooperate fully with the investigation and reforms. Thank you, Victor whispered, the relief evident in his face. Don't thank me, I said firmly. I didn't do this for you. I did this for the hundreds of residents who depend on these facilities for their care and the staff who deserve proper working conditions. The meeting continued with quarterly quality metrics and staffing plans. As it wrapped up, Father approached my chair. A word in private, Eliza? I walked with him to my office, noticing how heavily he leaned on his cane, how much older he looked than just a month ago. Once inside, he sank into a chair with a sigh. "You've done remarkably well," he admitted, looking around at my office. "Better than I ever thought possible." "Funny how that works when someone actually gives me a chance," I replied, unable to keep all the bitterness from my voice. "I deserve that," he acknowledged, rubbing his chest absently. "But watching you lead that meeting today, you reminded me of myself when I first started these facilities. I built this company from nothing, just like you built your career without our support." "Don't," I warned, feeling my defenses rise. "Don't try to make this into some touching family moment. I'm not interested." "I'm trying to apologize, Eliza," he said, his voice strained. "No," I countered, leaning against my desk and crossing my arms. "You're trying to ease your conscience. You're seeing success and wanting to take credit for it somehow. But you don't get to do that. You don't get to pretend you supported me all along." "Eliza, please," he clutched his chest suddenly, his face contorting in pain. "Dad." I rushed forward as he slumped in the chair, my professional detachment instantly shattered by genuine fear. "Someone call an ambulance." Nathaniel appeared in the doorway immediately. "What happened?" "His heart." "Get his medication from his coat pocket." I knelt beside my father, taking his pulse as Nathaniel searched the coat draped over the chair. Everything moved in a blur after that, paramedics arriving, the wail of sirens, the frantic rush to the hospital. Mother arrived in tears, Victor pacing the waiting room floor. Hours passed in tense silence before the doctor finally emerged. "He's stable," she announced to our collective relief, "but he needs to avoid all stress. No work, no business matters of any kind for at least 6 weeks." Mother grabbed my arm as the doctor walked away. "Eliza, please come home. Help us through this as a family." I gently removed her hand. "I'll handle the facilities. I'll make sure everything runs smoothly during his recovery. But I'm not coming home." "He could have died today," she whispered, her eyes pleading. "And that would have been tragic," I said quietly, "but it wouldn't change the past. It wouldn't change who we are or what happened between us." I walked away, my footsteps echoing on the hospital floor, leaving them with their grief and anxiety. Back at my office that evening, I found Nathaniel waiting. "Your father?" he asked immediately. "He'll live," I confirmed, sinking into my chair and finally letting exhaustion wash over me. "But why doesn't this feel like victory anymore?" "Because revenge is complicated," he said simply, "and family is even more complicated." I stared out at the city lights, wondering if the price of success was worth the weight it now carried. But I knew one thing for certain, there was no going back now. 3 months later, "The quarterly numbers are impressive," Meredith said, scanning the report over coffee. 3 months had passed since Father's heart attack. "You've turned these facilities around faster than anyone expected." "The press seems to think so too," I replied, showing her the latest healthcare industry magazine featuring my photo on the cover, The Reformer, How Eliza Winters Transformed Her Family's Elder Care Empire. "Have you shown this to your parents?" she asked, examining the cover with appreciation. "They've seen it. Mother keeps trying to arrange celebratory family dinners that I won't attend." Meredith set down her cup. "How's Victor handling everything?" "Actually." I hesitated, surprising myself with the answer. "He's doing better than expected. At the cafe, shows up early, stays late, actually learns from procedures and regulations," I continued, finding myself speaking about Victor with reluctant admiration. "It's almost like he's becoming a responsible administrator." Speaking of Victor, Meredith nodded toward the cafe entrance. My brother stood there, looking more composed and professional than he had in months, surveying the cafe until his eyes found us. He approached our table with an uncharacteristic hesitancy. "Can I join you?" he asked quietly. I gestured to an empty chair, curious about this unexpected visit. He sat, fidgeting with his tie in an almost boyish gesture that reminded me of when we were children. "Victor," Meredith nodded politely, then glanced at her watch. "Mind if I talk to my sister alone?" "I should head back to the office anyway," Meredith said, gathering her things. She squeezed my shoulder supportively as she left. "Call me later." Victor waited until she was gone, staring into his coffee cup before finally speaking. "I've been reviewing the rehabilitation program proposals you requested for the North Ridge facility." "This isn't about work, Victor," I interrupted, studying his face. "What do you want?" "Dad's birthday is next week," he said, looking down at his hands. "The first one since his heart attack. Mom's planning a small dinner, family only." He took a deep breath. "I know you already told her you're not coming." "That's not why I'm here." He pulled out an envelope, slightly worn at the edges. "I found this while cleaning out my old office files. It's from 4 years ago." Inside was a letter dated the day after I'd been denied my education fund. My hands trembled slightly as I read, "Dear Mr. Blackwood, I'm writing to recommend my sister Eliza Winters for any entry-level positions at your firm. She possesses exceptional insight into elder care regulations and practices, and has demonstrated remarkable determination throughout her career. She deserves an opportunity that our family isn't providing. I recognize I'm the last person who should be requesting favors, considering my role in recent family decisions, but I hope you'll consider meeting with her. Sincerely, Victor Winters." I looked up, genuinely stunned. "You wrote to Nathaniel?" "I wrote to every major elder law firm in the city," he confessed, running a hand through his hair. "I knew what I did, was wrong. I was too much of a coward to stand up to Mom and Dad directly, but I thought maybe I could help in some small way." "Nathaniel never mentioned this," I said, staring at the letter, trying to reconcile this act with the brother I thought I knew. "Because I called him the next day and asked him not to tell you," Victor explained. "I told him to meet with you and make any offer based solely on your merit. I knew you wouldn't want my help anyway." He smiled sadly, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him. "You've always been too proud to accept what you didn't earn." I stared at the letter, emotions warring inside me, anger, confusion, a reluctant gratitude I wasn't ready to acknowledge. "Why are you showing me this now?" "Because I'm tired of secrets. Tired of pretending." He leaned forward, his voice earnest. "You were right about everything, Eliza. I didn't deserve that education money. I definitely didn't deserve to run the facilities. But watching you these past months, seeing how you handle everything from regulatory compliance to staff management to resident care." His voice grew softer. "I'm proud to be your brother." "Victor," I began, unsure how to respond. "Let me finish," he interrupted gently. "You don't have to come to Dad's birthday. You don't have to forgive any of us. But I need you to know that not everyone in this family doubted you or your concerns. I was just too weak to show it when it mattered." My phone buzzed with a message from Nathaniel. "Remember that meeting you've been avoiding with the Healthcare Accreditation Board? They're waiting in the conference room. I have to go," I said, standing up but still clutching the letter. "Eliza," Victor called as I reached the door. "For what it's worth, you're a better administrator than I ever could have been. The residents are genuinely receiving better care under your leadership." Back at the office, I couldn't focus on the accreditation meeting. Nathaniel noticed my distraction as we walked back to my office afterward. "Everything okay?" he asked. "You seemed preoccupied during the entire presentation." I showed him Victor's letter without comment. He read it carefully, his expression unsurprised. "You knew about this?" I asked. "I knew Victor wasn't as confident in his abilities as your parents believed," he said, handing the letter back. He was genuinely concerned about care standards, just too intimidated by your father to act on those concerns properly. Nathaniel's expression softened. People aren't always what they seem, Eliza, even family. That evening, I sat alone in my office long after everyone else had left, staring at my phone. Finally, I typed, "Mom, what time is Dad's birthday dinner?" Her response came immediately, 7 p.m. next Thursday. "Please come, darling. It would mean so much to him." I stared at the screen, thinking about Victor's letter, about Father's heart attack, about Mother's tears in the hospital, about revenge and responsibility, and the complex web of family connections that I'd tried so hard to sever. "I'll be there," I replied after a long moment. "But on my terms. No pressure, no guilt, no pretending the past didn't happen. Whatever you want, Eliza. We just want to see you." I looked out at the city skyline, remembering that angry, determined woman who had walked out of her father's office 4 years ago. She'd wanted validation, wanted to prove herself, wanted to make them regret their dismissal of her concerns. I'd accomplished all that. Maybe now it was time to prove something else, that success doesn't have to mean isolation, that strength can include understanding, that professional ethics and family ties could coexist without compromising either. But first, I had facilities to run and residents who depended on me. The birthday dinner, I stood outside my parents' house, holding a bottle of Father's favorite single malt scotch. The same stone lions still flanked the entrance, but somehow they seemed less intimidating now, mere decorations rather than symbols of authority. Meredith's advice from our phone call earlier echoed in my mind. Remember, you're not that powerless caregiver anymore. You're going in as their professional equal. The door opened before I could ring the bell. Mother stood there, trying to mask her nervousness behind a carefully composed smile. "Eliza, darling. You came." The relief in her voice was palpable. "I said I would." I handed her the scotch. "Happy birthday, Dad." The study had been transformed. Father's imposing desk was gone, replaced by comfortable seating arranged in a circle. Victor was already there, helping Father adjust a cushion behind his back in a plush armchair. "Eliza," Father's voice was softer than I remembered, lacking its usual authoritative edge. "Thank you for coming." I took a seat, noting how the room's power dynamics had shifted. No more hiding behind desks or strategic positioning, just family facing each other before dinner. "Your father has something he wants to say," Mother said, perching nervously on the edge of her chair. Father pulled out an envelope, his hands trembling slightly. "I've been doing a lot of thinking since the heart attack, about legacy, about family, about mistakes." "Dad, you don't have to." "Yes, I do," he insisted quietly. He opened the envelope carefully. "This is a letter I wrote to my own father when I first took over the family's small nursing home business. I found it recently while organizing some old papers. Would you like to hear it?" I nodded, curious despite myself. "Dear Father," he read, his voice growing steadier. "I know you think I'm too young and inexperienced to expand the business, but I will prove you wrong. I will show you that success isn't measured by age or tradition, but by determination and vision." He looked up at me. "Sound familiar? Why are you showing me this?" I asked quietly. "Because I became exactly what I fought against," he admitted, folding the letter carefully. "I became my father, forcing my children into roles that didn't fit, refusing to see their true potential, valuing expansion over quality." He set the letter down. "I was wrong, Eliza. About everything. Victor stood up. "We have something for you." He retrieved a polished wooden box from the cabinet. Inside was a familiar document, my original education fund paperwork. "We can't undo what we did," Mother said softly, "but we want to try to make it right. We've restored the fund with interest." "I don't need it anymore," I said quietly. "We know," Father smiled, a genuine expression I hadn't seen in years. "That's exactly why you deserve it. You've proven yourself beyond anything we could have imagined." "This isn't about money," I said, standing up and pacing the room. "It was never about money." "No," Victor agreed, meeting my eyes. "It was about respect. Recognition. Belief. Things we should have given you freely." I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen with the latest compliance committee minutes. "Notice anything?" Father leaned forward, adjusting his reading glasses. His eyes widened. "You're recommending Victor for Director of Operations?" "He's earned it," I confirmed, meeting my brother's shocked expression. 6 months of hard work, learning from mistakes, actually listening to staff concerns, proving himself. I raised an eyebrow. "Sound familiar?" "Eliza, I don't know what to say," Victor stammered. "Say you'll continue to prove me right. Say you'll help me build something better than what came before, facilities that truly put residents first." Mother wiped tears from her eyes. "Your grandmother would be so proud of both of you." "Actually," I smiled, "I have one more announcement. The scholarship foundation I'm establishing in her name for caregivers pursuing advanced healthcare education or law degrees. The education fund money will seed it." Father stood slowly, steadying himself carefully. "You're a better person than I ever was, Eliza." "No," I shook my head. "I'm just braver. Brave enough to forge my own path, brave enough to succeed against the odds, and now," I took a deep breath, "brave enough to forgive without forgetting." "Dinner's ready," Rosa called from the doorway. As we walked to the dining room, Victor caught my arm. "Does this mean you'll stop making me personally check every medication error report?" "Not a chance," I grinned. "Consider it ongoing professional development." At the table, Father raised his glass with a slightly trembling hand. "To Eliza, who taught us all what real success and leadership truly look like." "And to family," I added, surprising myself, "who sometimes need to break apart to grow stronger." Mother reached for my hand under the table. This time, I let her take it. Later that night as I drove home, Meredith called. "How'd it go?" "Better than expected," I admitted. Turns out meaningful reform isn't as simplistically satisfying as revenge, but it's more sustainable. "Does this mean you're done making them work to earn your trust?" she asked. "Oh, I'll still hold them to the highest standards," I laughed. "But maybe, just maybe, we can build something valuable from the foundation we're salvaging." I pulled into my driveway, looking up at the stars scattered across the night sky. The angry, frustrated caregiver who'd fled her family's dismissal was gone, replaced by someone stronger, wiser, more complete. Someone who understood that true power isn't found in destroying what hurt you, but in transforming it into something better. The facilities were improving, the family was healing, and I was finally truly free, not because I'd won some victory over them, but because I'd grown beyond the need for victory at all.